since I posted my videos. Yeah, I didn't know you loved me so much, but we've had a couple, thanks to Morton at my Playhouse, we've had a couple of hundred new subscribers. So I don't want y'all to think I'm lazy or anything, but in the States here, we have a thing called Thanksgiving, and then the day after Thanksgiving we have Black Friday, and then we have Cyber Monday after that, where everybody goes out and spends money like a crazy lunatic because everything's on sale. I don't partake of those days, but my clients tend to get really busy right after Thanksgiving because they're trying to finish up the year, cram all the stuff in. Now you're probably wondering what is going on with this thing behind me. Well, remember, I had a spare motherboard and i5 processor and 16 gig of RAM. I also had an IC dock drive enclosure that I took out of my Xpenology NAS. And I said, well, why do I want that to go to waste? And then I had a bunch of 1 terabyte hard drives laying around. And you know how I hate to waste hard drives. So anyway, I put something together in that box, and it's flashing and blinking and buzzing and doing its thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is. We'll save that for another video. Today's video is all about unification. You know, unification. What do I mean by unification? I apologize in advance for the kind of horrible lighting in here, but it's nighttime. Sun goes down now here about 5:30 local time, 5:30, 6 o'clock, so it's dark outside. Well, with the exception of all the Christmas lights we put out, and I'm going to do a video on that to show you how we go nuts in the States over Christmas. I love Christmas. It's one of my favorite holidays. But you see that little thing there? That is a Unify access point. I've had that thing probably 4 or 5 years. And I love Ubiquiti products, and that's pretty much what this video is about today, what I've decided to do and why I've decided to do it. It started off with this. I had a client purchase a power over Ethernet switch, and I was testing it here, and I discovered how much I liked a PoE switch. And the thing I like about Ubiquiti is on their Unify side, and I'll show you that software here in a few minutes, but they kind of tie everything together. So I went ahead and got a Unify 8-port power over Ethernet switch, the 60 watt model, and that's this one you're seeing here. You can see it has 8 gigabit throughput, 16 gigabit switching capacity. This is the Unify software here that you're seeing. Let me see if I can get the mouse to click on that. So I got the US 860 watt. It set me back about $100. But actually, the way I did it is this is an eval unit for a customer, and so I ordered it in to give to another customer. Ended up liking it so much I decided to keep it here because I needed a PoE switch. Now, normally I don't buy PoE switches, and I'm going to explain to you why. Now, normally I don't go for power over Ethernet switches, and I'm going to explain to you my reasoning behind that right now. This little 8-port switch is fine. I just want to power. It's on my bench behind me. You can't see it, but I wanted it so that I could power over Ethernet phones when I had them in here testing or evaluating or whatever. But as a whole, on a small device like this, it's fine. But on a large device, on a large switch, it adds a level of complexity and a point of failure that I'm not comfortable with. And it makes these switches run really hot, and that's when you use PoE on them. I would rather buy a separate PoE injector because I don't have a lot of clients that use a lot of power over Ethernet devices. Because, and let me clarify that. So what that means is that a PoE switch has a power supply built into it. It can be as small as this one, which is 60 watt. They can go up to 500 watt power supplies, okay? And they send power down the Ethernet cables. But so it adds another heat source inside the switch. And the switch has got some sensitive electronics in it. It has capacitors in it. And when some capacitors are exposed to extreme heat or a lot of heat, they can blow, they can pop, they can change their capacitance, especially if they're cheaply made. I'm not saying that Ubiquiti made, but it adds a level of complexity that I would rather not deal with. Because if the power over Ethernet switch goes out, you know, for a 48 port power over Ethernet switch, they're $700 to $800. They're not cheap. The non-power over Ethernet versions are about $300 to $400, so it's quite a bit of cost savings. And my clients don't have enough PoE devices that justify me buying them PoE switches. Therefore, I don't buy them here for me either. I don't have a lot of PoE devices. So that 8-port power over Ethernet switch that I got from Ubiquiti will be more than sufficient for my needs in my lab and in my testing environment. So I fell in love. I love the Ubiquiti Unify products, but if you went back on my firewall video, you know I've been kind of searching for like the ultimate perfect firewall for my needs and for my clients. I think I've actually found it. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. That's for another video, but it has to do with Unify and the Ubiquiti products. Now, Ubiquiti has a couple of different lines of products. They have the Edge series, which are managed through a normal, web GUI. And then they have the Unify series of products, which are managed through a proprietary controller software called Unify Controller. You either need to load it onto a machine, the Unify Controller software, or you need to get, they sell a little device that'll simulate that server. So, and it doesn't take a lot of power to run unless you got a lot of users. So, and then I got to thinking to myself, I have always had an issue with setting up VLANs. For some reason, my simple primitive ape brain cannot fathom the difference between a trunk port, a tagged port, and an untagged port, and an excluded port. I, for some reason, get wrapped around in my brain that a trunk port is also a tagged port. And I'm not going to go into it. There are videos out there on the internet that will explain it in detail to you. And I'm a simple man with simple needs. And I have a good layer 3 switch. Now let me explain the difference between a layer 2 and a layer 3 switch. A layer 2 switch is just a switching device. That's all it does. A layer 3 switching device also is a router. So not only can you do switching, you can do routing, and you can do VLANs, and you can do routing between. It's called inter VLAN routing. And it's something I've never needed to do here, but I've always wanted to do. And I have a customer now, I have a couple of customers now that in addition to having a building, they have so much space they're able to lease out to other companies. And they want to be able to offer these companies internet access as part of their leasing package. So in order to do that and to protect their network from the other customers' network coming in, we create what are called VLANs to do that. And while I already have a really good switch, and here it is right here, in fact, it's a Linksys SRW2024. I got this off eBay probably 4 years ago. It didn't work, but I'm familiar with what's wrong with these. Nine times out of 10, you have blown capacitors when these switches go out. It's just been my experience, and I'm handy with a soldering iron. So I picked this up off eBay for 10 or 15 bucks. It's a 24 port. It's a Linksys / Cisco switch. And let me tell you, I replaced the capacitors in it, and it has served me well. It has been a really good switch. I've had zero trouble with this switch. But you notice it's not hooked up anymore. It's a little dusty. It's not plugged in. It's not hooked up on my rack. So you're probably wondering, why is that? Well, the reason for that is because it has a really clunky interface on it. It's all web driven. Part of it's Java based. Getting it to work in a damn Internet Explorer or Mozilla or Google has just been a pain. And so I have, as a consequence of that, I just never really spent the time to set it up properly or to deal with it, because I'm a GUI guy. I'm not a command line guy. I can do the command line, but I would rather do something very painful than to deal with a command line, because I don't know what it is about the command line. I used it so much when I first got in computers. Keep in mind, I started with CPM, okay? CPM, okay? Command line, DOS, command line. I'm done with command line. I'm tired of it. Oh, yeah, I know. And I know you have to use it somewhere. I know it's powerful. It's just not for me. I want a simple GUI. Why do things have to be so complicated? Let's make life is complicated enough. Technology is complicated enough. Let's make it as simple as possible so even a moron like me can understand it. Hence this recent purchase. And here it is. I have done it. I have gone out and purchased the US-24. Now, they make two models of this. They make a 24 port and they make a 48 port. Ubiquiti does. And this is very reasonably priced. I picked mine up for $200. They're $212 off Amazon. And let me tell you. So we got 24 switch ports and two SFP 1 and 2 ports that actually take off 23 and 24. This is a layer 3 managed switch. It's not power over Ethernet, and you know why I don't do PoE switches. And I'm just going to kind of scroll down here and let you read this while I yammer on. Let me tell you, getting me to part with $200 is it requires an act of heroism on your part, because I will fuss and I will fight. Now, this is an investment in my business, so it's a business expense because I do use it in my business, and I have clients that I can sell this product to. So I'm just going to keep coming down here and let you read the screen. I'm not going to read it for you. So I don't sell anything to my clients that I don't use myself. I eat my own dog food, as they say. And one of the things that I just love about Ubiquiti is their Unify software. Well, I love their products. Let's just be honest. I really like Ubiquiti products. That much is given. I bought an 8-port switch. I bought this device here, the Unify Security Gateway. I did a whole other video on that. I love this device as well. You're going to love it too as we get on into more videos. And the only thing I'm waiting for Unify to do is to give me the ability to do multiple WAN IPs. They have a kludgy solution right now, but my clients have multiple IPs, so I need to be able to route those multiple IPs. And this is the only thing that's keeping me from putting one of these devices in every one of my clients' sites. So why did I go out and spend $200 when I had a perfectly good layer 3 switch here? Because I love the Unify switch. I fell in love with it on the 8-port. And I'm a detail kind of guy. I like tracking everything, knowing all the details about all the devices connected. And you'll see with the Unify software why I like it so much. There's nothing wrong with that Linksys switch. It's going to go into my lab. We're going to do some lab videos on it, do VLANs and that kind of thing. But I just need to set up a machine that has an old enough browser that works with that web interface, because that's what it is. The other beautiful thing about the Unify products is they're not web-based. This is a separate program written in Linux to control these devices. So what it is, it's like an interface between you and the command line. It gives you a GUI. So that's why I decided to go with the Unify products, and I'm very glad I did. And so a shout out to Willie Howe, and he's got a YouTube channel. Just look it up, Willie Howe. He does a whole bunch of videos on Ubiquiti products and a whole bunch of other range of networking products. And also Crosstalk Solutions, I'm giving them a shout out. He does some really great videos. Like I say, I've been a fan of Ubiquiti for a long time, but I was never really willing to plunk down the money because the Unify software wasn't ready, in my opinion. I've changed my opinion on that. It's ready now. And you've seen this interface before, but I'm just going to go over it here really quickly. So now that we have what's called an integrated package on here. We have a Unify Security Gateway, we have a Unify switch, and we have a wireless access point on the wall here behind me. And now you'll get an idea of how it's all used. So on this dashboard, I can see my current latency, throughput, devices that are active. I can see my download throughput and latency over time. I can see how many clients I have on my wireless. On my 2.4, if I had a 5 gigahertz, I could see that. I can see how much data has been streamed across my network today. I think that's for today. It might be for a week. I don't know. I haven't delved that deeply into it yet. And this brings me to a point. You really have to work with the product for not a 5-minute period of time, which some of these videos I try to make them quickly. You have to let this stuff run for days and weeks and months to get an idea of the kind of data you're going to get out of it. So that's why I moved to these Unify products and set them up. I still love Untangle, don't get me wrong. I still think if you're a home user, Untangle's the way to go. But I'm starting to lean toward running this in a business. And I'm going to run my business on it, and I'm probably going to be running my clients on it. So that's why I'm getting caught up in the Unify stuff. And you see if we hover over, we get some idea of the throughput and latency as time goes on, spikes in data throughput, etc. These are the number of devices I have, wireless devices. Actually, 2 LAN devices, 2 wireless LAN, and 1 WAN device. This is how many clients I have on my network. This is a deep packet inspection. So that's a nice little overview. Now I can click on these and it'll go into detail and tell me not only I've given all these devices names now, but it'll tell me the IP address, what switch it's connected to, what port on the switch it's connected to, how much internet download it's had, upload and download, how many days or time, how much time it's been up. And then on the access point, it actually tells me the transmit and receive rate. So quite a bit of data. So we'll come back here. So that's the client view. And then on the deep packet inspection, I can click on that and get an idea of where data is going. And then I can further go in and have it tell me what apps are using the most data. And then you can just click here and you can sort, you can do that. And then the users that are using the most amount of data. Now, I don't know how long. I think this is a daily data report. I don't think it's weekly. I think it's data. I'm not quite sure how they do their reporting in Unify, so I don't want to lie and tell you something. But that gives me an idea at a glance who's using the most bandwidth and who's using the least amount of bandwidth. Pretty cool, huh? Come back to the dashboard. So that was deep packet inspection. Now I can come down here to statistics. And this is just an overview. The top access points for clients, most active, etc. Usage over time, recent activity. I can go daily. I can do 5 minutes, hourly, or daily. I can change the time periods. You see, it brings up a nice little calendar here and tells you all the dates and everything. Okay. That was the overview. Then I can do the traffic stats, and I showed you that a minute ago. Another neat one is performance. So over time, I can monitor the CPU and the memory usage on each Unify device. So Gatekeeper is my Unify security gateway. It shows you my traffic over time, how many packets, how many dropped, how many errors, and it even shows me how much memory and CPU usage is on my Unify security gateway. I can do the same thing for my 24-port switch. This will tell me how much CPU and memory it's using, and how much data was transmitted and received, etc. And I can also do the same thing for my switch on my desk and for the office access point. How much RAM, how much CPU it's using over time, and how much data is received and sent. Then if we go to switch stats, I can pick either my 24-port switch, and this will tell me every connection on there. I've labeled them now, so this tells me how much data. If you're a report freak like I am, I shouldn't need to say a thing. This is gold to me. It's just gold. I need this information. It'll also help you to determine if you've got one link that's misbehaving, or maybe a piece of spyware out there, or a piece of malware out there transmitting and receiving tons of data. You won't know that unless you have these graphs here and you're able to see them at a glance. And then I can switch back to the work desk. Speed test stats. I haven't done any speed tests. Maybe I did. No, I haven't. Yeah, I did them. Yeah, I did one speed test on the 28th. So I had 102 megabyte download, 107 meg upload, and my latency was 46 milliseconds. And that's weird because the latency when I measure it through the Unify is higher than my regular latency. If I were to do a regular speed test, in fact, why don't I just do one right now? I'll do a speed test. Let's see what it tells me. I'll keep yapping while it's doing a speed test. In fact, see, look, there's my ping time, 19 milliseconds, okay? So it's horseshit, the 46 millisecond. So I don't know whether that's a bug in the Unify software or what. But it typically it gives the wrong latency. So my latency is not that high. I just wanted to point that out. Again, this is not a deep dive. It's just showing you how I've got it set up, and because I have just figured out how to use all this stuff. So my management LAN is the 192.168.5.0/24 is my management LAN. It's also production LAN, and that's just how I run mine. Yours will be different. So each Unify device has its own IP address, and I can go in here and do certain things, but I'm not going to right now. What I want to do is just show you what they all look like. And if there was a software or firmware update here, it would tell me and give you the option to update it right through the GUI. I'm going to go down here to clients, just so you can see I've got all my clients set up, but it knows what port switch it's on. Again, we covered this a minute ago. You can see how much bandwidth or how much download and upload it has had. Then I can separate it out with my wireless clients, same way. And then I have this neat little thing over here called Insights. So if you look at this, this kind of scared me the first time I saw it. I was like, what are all these access points? Well, it says neighboring access points. So now keep in mind, I live on an acre, which is about 190 feet by 250 feet. Squared rectangular size lot. Okay, so my nearest neighbor is at least 200 feet from me, or they're across the street. It just depends. But look, I'm picking up all these other wireless access points, and we're out here in the sticks. And it even tells you some of them are open, like the bathroom TV. This gives you an idea. I could never connect to these. The signal isn't strong enough. But I kind of freaked out when I first saw that, and rightly so, because I thought, oh, these are my access points. No, they're not. But what I can do is I can go under here to known clients, and I can, let me give you an example. So say for example, for whatever reason, I saw some activity on here on the Roku. It was using way too much data, and I thought I had a nefarious event going on. I can just simply come over here and block that traffic with the click of a button. If I double click on it though, I get the MAC address, I get the host name, I get the device type, I get the IP address, how long it's been up, what network it's on. I get statistics of how much data it's currently downloading or currently using, any LAN activity, and then I get deep packet inspection, so I can see everywhere this thing has gone, and I can further click on details and get even more information. Now, you know what a nut I am about reporting. This made me drool when I first, it took about 3 or 4 days for this thing to start really collecting all the data. But look at this. I mean, this is just wonderful. I know where it's going. I can see at a glance if there's a problem perhaps on my network. That's just an example. Let's see what happens when I turn the details off. It doesn't really matter. I can go into the history. It tells me how long it's been up or it's been rebooted or whatever. And then I have the configuration on it. And the alias is where you give it whatever name you want. And then I can even join it to I can even use a fixed IP address if I wanted to. But I just wanted you to see that insight and what it showed you. I'm going to come back to known clients. Then I have another thing called past connections. So that's devices that how long they were connected up to my network and what they did, what port they were on. And I can do it by, I can change the search criteria. Let me do known clients. Yeah, show last 24 hours. So I could see, let's just do the last 7 days. And there you go. Now let's see if it gives me the deep packet inspection for the last 7 days. I'm assuming it is. So in 7 days, it's consumed this much data from these sources. I just wanted to see that for myself because I hadn't explored that before. So let's come back to. I'm clicking the screen that I'm looking at. Pardon me. Okay, so we'll come back to traffic stats. Where were we? Insights. So past guest authorizations, there's none there. Switch stats, very, very handy to have. I can see if I've had any errors or anything like that. let's see, what is it? Overview, PoE, okay, counters. So, yeah, it gives me a plethora. I don't see any way to change the date on here or search by date, but you can see the kind of information that you're getting at a glance. I mean, you can imagine if you're an enterprise customer or an enterprise support person like I am, and you can come in here and see all this. They have really, Ubiquiti is really, now keep in mind, I don't use Cisco and I don't use, Juniper Networks. I don't use their equipment because it's mostly command line. But look at this. Look at this. Isn't this beauty? It's like buttery beauty. I have what's called the controller logs. So I can actually look into a controller real time. This is my gatekeeper. Here's my switch work desk. So I could just sit here and watch the text scroll by if I wanted to. Another neat function. And all that is under the Insights button that we clicked on before. I watched it crash on me. No. And now we're back to the dashboard. So we come down here a little bit lower. We can see here we have events. So this, and you can sort it by admin, LAN, wireless LAN, all, errors, warnings in general. So if I only want to see warnings, I could click on there. If I want to see general, I can click on there. And this tells you basically every time a device connects or disconnects from one of your switches, one of your Unifi devices. If I had any alerts, they would be right here. And then the all-powerful settings button. And you can see I've already got mine set up. I'm not going to go into this at all on this video. I'm going to save that for another one, but I just wanted you to see it. You got site, wireless networks, routing, and firewall. I'm going to do a separate video about how I configured my Unifi stuff once I'm sure that I have it all down pat. I just wanted you to see it to show you that I've got all the equipment in here now. Thanks to the generosity of my subscribers and patrons on Patreon, I was able to purchase this device a little ahead of time. And I'm referring to the Unifi 24-port switch. So there you go. I'm a Unifi guy now. So I unified myself. I feel unified. I feel unification. I feel completed. No, I really don't care. I really don't care. I buy products because they work, they're reliable, and I can intuitively get them. Okay. So when I can sit down in front of a piece of software and figure it out without cracking the user manual open, that means intuitive to me, not to you. You may hate Ubiquiti products. You may get them and say, Joe, that's the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen. Well, granted, okay, maybe it's not for you. This is what I choose to use, and this is what I use for my clients. And this software gets better every day. You know, I told everybody I like the Carrier Control Firewall, but why am I not using it anymore? Recurring revenue, recurring payments. I don't want to have to keep, once I buy a device, I don't want to have to keep paying people. Okay, Unifi is not a, they do not have a, what they call a layer 7 firewall that does all the whiz-bang stuff. That's fine. I understand that going into it, okay? But they only charge me one time for their devices. I don't have to keep paying for software updates to keep the unit running or functional or to keep a feature working. And that's fine because a lot of my clients, they don't want to pay those fees. When they can get them for free on a device like pfSense. So if I wanted those features, I could just simply put a pfSense firewall in front of the Unifi Security Gateway and still have the best of both worlds and have my layer 7 bean dip protection, as I call it. I have found over time, though, that the clients that I deal with, that is a step I was taking that is not necessary and was an unnecessary expense. And the reason people hire me is to keep their network costs down so they can afford to stay in business. I cannot tell you how many clients I have had that have had IT companies come in before me spending tens of thousands of dollars when they could have been spending thousands of dollars on their equipment. And it was because a certain IT guy or a certain company had a personal yen for a specific piece of equipment. But clients are not made of money. They have to turn a profit. And so the first place clients going to cut expenses is employees and IT. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way of the world. Those are two of the most expensive things that my clients have to deal with. Expenditures, paying taxes and insurance and a salary to an employee, and IT, because usually their IT is not properly managed. So that's why I'm the king of cheap. One more thing, I want to give a shout out to Morton at My Playhouse on YouTube. As you know, Morton is the one who inspired me to start my own YouTube channel, and he's been so gracious, and I send parts to him from Amazon and that kind of thing when he needs my help, and every time Morton gives me a shout out, he sends new subscribers my way. So I want to make sure I'm returning the favor. And Morton did a really interesting video. Well, to me, and probably you guys as well. You know how much I love exponology. Well, Morton has gone exponology on steroids. He has got, I think it's a 48 drive bay, serial attached drive bay connected up to one of his lovely IBM / Lenovo servers, and he is actually doing he's doing several 12 drive arrays to do some tests. You got to go over and check out his latest video. It is phenomenal, and he's been working on this project for months. He inherited, so go back, go check out his channel. If you're not already a subscriber to Morton, you could spend a weekend there. If you got some time this weekend, go check out all of his IT related videos. I think you won't be disappointed, and you can see the trail he's kind of pioneered with exponology, and he's doing some really interesting testing on it right now as we speak. So again, Morton, My Playhouse, Morton Hjorth. And he's from Denmark, and he's got a really great channel. Go check it out. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Give us a thumbs up down below if you liked it. Please pound that like button. Please pound it. I get lots of views, but not a whole lot of likes. So let's try for at least 100 likes on this video if you liked it. If you don't, you don't. My mama used to say all the time, all my relatives, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, come sit next to me. No, what they said was, don't say anything at all. If you don't like the video, if you don't like something in the video, comment on it, and I'll take your comment into consideration. Maybe we'll change something, maybe we won't. So if you're gonna unlike it, give us a reason why. So anyway, thanks again for watching so much. We appreciate it. Come back, see us again, and don't forget, we'll see you on the other side.